Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and news, the business builder has been rescheduled. We are rescheduling it until in November. You will have dates out as soon as all of that is available, but it is not the end of September now. It is going to be the early part of November. Also, those of you that have been asking, Mr. Nate Newton will be back on the show next week. I have an interview recorded with him, so he is coming out after this episode, so you'll get to see him again the following week. My conversation today is a repeat guest, Brittany Murphy, who her specialty is marketing, and she was with a marketing consulting when she was on here now, but she has now left there and started her own business. And her target is still the blue collar industry. So we spend over an hour having a conversation about marketing and business and her business and ways that you can work with her. But her new company is called The Marketing Mutt. And when she asked me my opinion on the name, I thought it was great. It made me laugh because I just think it's very cohesive to the audience in which she serves and which I serve. So I thought it was a brilliant name. So this is my conversation with Brittany Murphy and The Marketing Mutt. You were on this podcast for episode 163, which was February of 2023. So it's been a year and a half.
Holy shit, man. Yeah, you're in the 200. It's about to hit 3.
We're about to hit 3. And, this is 291. So it's been a minute since you and I have had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation just about business and about marketing. And I got a text message from one of my clients and was like, hey, I'm trying to find Brittany. And so that turned into a rabbit hole of chasing you down, which has led to some exciting conversations that you and I have had. But for those that have not heard 163, which you haven't, go back and listen, but just kind of bring us up to speed, Brittany. Like, what is going on?
Well, as we talked earlier, I decided I wanted to be Carmen Sandiego when I grew up.
Where in the world is Brittany Murphy?
Right? Yeah. No, and that's funny. The last time we caught up, I mean, yes, just in the last year and a half, so much has changed in my world. Last year I got married, had a blast with everything from that. I was about to hit my 10-year anniversary at an agency I had been at. And then kind of 2024 happened, and I decided I wanted to make a change. Still love the trades. I am not running from that. So if you have listened to episode 163, I'm still your trades girl. I will still cuss a fuck ton whenever it's appropriate. But I kind of wanted to find a different way to help my trades guys. A lot of the patterns and conflicts that they're running into are things that, you and I really agree with. It's how marketing meets processes meets sales. And that's kind of really where I have pivoted myself to kind of really focus on those things. And even as we talked before, about 2-3 months ago, I moved out to Red River Gorge here in Kentucky. So you and I both been moving about the same time frame we did. Your house probably looks a lot better than mine does at this point put together. But even on that aspect, I'm kind of running a separate business. My husband and I bought 50 acres here in Red River Gorge, a home with 4 exterior units on it that we're going to be flipping, renovating ourselves, and turn into 4 Airbnbs in 2025. So a lot of big things happening here, and not just the marketing side, but life is. I've been running around. So really, where in the hell is Brittany Murphy? She's just been busy. So it's nice you finally caught me so we could sit down and get to this.
Yeah. Well, good for you. That is a lot. And that's a lot in 18 months. And then, 2024, especially just the last 8 months, that's a lot. And I'm glad that we got to reconnect, because if there's one thing that you and I both know is highly misunderstood in the blue collar world, is the leverage of marketing and the necessity of marketing. You and I were even joking about it before we hit the record button. Was everybody's knee-jerk reaction is, well, I know I need a website, but they're too expensive.
Yep.
And the reality is that narrative has really been spread in the blue collar world. And the better question to ask is, and when you're looking at business and business ownership, the better question to ask is, how much money is the website going to make me?
Hmm.
And what is that branding awareness? What is that return on investment? What does that look like? So one thing I would like to dive into, it is like, why do we need a website, especially in today? Because everybody says, well, I can go on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, and find out what I need to know. And I have my opinion on that as well. But to start with, what I think is one of the best fundamentals of marketing in a business, why do we need a website?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the way I've always described the website is it is your 24/7 salesperson. It's the best fucking free employee you will ever
Hmm.
hire in your whole life. And the reason being for that is, I listened to your social media episode you did with Stimley,
Hmm. Mitch Smedley.
Smedley, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so Mitch Smedley. And I mean, and he made a good point of like people are using like Facebook like a community. They are going there and asking, hey, who would you recommend? And because usually most of your friends are in the same city, they'll comment. But what you kind of forget in the journey of it is they'll comment, they'll probably go to that person's Facebook page, but then there still might go to all these other things to actually check out everything about them because Facebook shows a portion of the picture. Your Google business listing with the reviews shows a portion of the picture. Your website to me is the place that puts all of these snapshots together into one clear picture to convince the homeowner we are the right decision of who you should pick for your plumbing needs, your HVAC needs, your electrical needs, what it may be. You're able to really just house all of the information someone might need to make a decision on what to do. You know, most repairs, maybe not too costly, although with the economy, anything over $300 is like, oh my God, how are we going to get our next grocery bill? With how things feel right now. But purchases usually end up being replacements a lot of times. That's kind of what we hope for, in the trades is this is a bigger job. So therefore it's a bigger ROI with it. The bigger the job, the bigger the cost, the more homework usually that homeowner is going to do on you. And that's why don't leave them with any more questions unanswered. Put all of this shit on your website. So if they do get referred to you or if they do find you from your advertising, your organic listing, whatever it may be,
Hmm.
they see everything to get that answers to their questions to feel confident and comfortable calling you and not pushing back or saying, okay, thanks, and then never making the decision. Like remember, it's a salesperson. I'm supposed to convert you into a client. And that's what the website does.
I really appreciate that definition because the website should answer their questions. It needs to tell a story about who you are and what you do,
Yeah.
right? But it is about how can you solve my problem? And is my problem available? Is there a solution available to my problem from your company? I don't know. Well, the website
Mhm.
needs to answer that question.
Yeah.
And it's such the social media thing is just is what it is. It's a highlight reel of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And somebody may see part of your highlight reel and go, "Oh man, they do work on mini splits."
Hmm.
Well, now that's going to ultimately take them to your website because, okay, and I have a mini split. They work on mini splits. Now I need to find out more about this company. And they're going to go to your website to do that.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that definition of it does need to educate. It does need to sell for you. Your client should be able to go to your website and have enough questions answered where they're confident in contacting you to
Hmm.
start dialing in how you can solve their problem.
Yes.
So
100%.
I like that. What are your thoughts on putting prices on websites? This is a big debate that I get into often. Like, I don't want to put my price on there because my competition is going to know what we're charging, but I'm curious to know what
Yes.
you think.
Oh, it's like the one question a therapist gets asked all the time, like, why do I feel this way? And it's like, therapist knows the answer why you feel that way, but they have to come to the answer on their own.
Mhm.
It's very personable to everybody. My answer most times than none is please show more than less. So if you're open to it, full blown out pricing, yeah, it's going to get someone to know exactly if they can afford you or not and make the call yes or no. They might use that information to compare you to other people, but they also might see that no one else is listing their pricing and at least they know what to expect with you. So you're actually going to get the phone call to maybe confirm, hey, I saw that you do a service call for $99. Is that, you know, there's no other hidden fees? Like what else
Mhm.
does that look like? You know, like they can actually have that conversation with you. You know, I've worked for plenty of marketing agencies. I am building, you know, the website for my own that I'm going to be helping trades with. And even with that, like I everything can be custom, and in trades things are custom as well. It's sometimes hard to give that full blown bottom line pricing. What I like is that middle ground. If you're going to fight me on it, is A, I'll take you. But if you're a lot bigger than me, I know you're going to beat me. Then my
Right.
answer to that is, can we please do a starts at? So at
Mhm.
least we can give some type of ballpark for someone before they call you. And that's kind of where really when it gets more into the replacement sides is where we really see this, because, you know, homeowners don't type in words replacement usually. They're looking for repair. You know, I'm hoping this can just be fixed with the least
Mhm.
money out of my pocket as possible. So, you know, when you actually do have to have a replacement and they can see the ideas of, okay, this is what units will cost, this is what the labor with it might cost as well. You know, a whole house furnace and AC replacement is a 2-day job, you know, like you spelling out the expectations for this homeowner again is to me a higher sell, and it shows value in you because you're not trying to hide this shit from them. And I
Mhm.
think that's where people start to feel a little bit not confident with who they're about to call or talk to, is because they feel like everything's so hidden. You know, like you feel like you go to the dentist and they move your mouth in so many contorted ways, like, all right, looks good. And we're like, all right, but like, is this better or worse than last time? Like, you know, and then they speak out of
Yeah.
things you don't know. You're like, these things put together, again, conversion is what your marketing is supposed to help
Mhm.
you do. Get the awareness and then also help you convert what you're doing. And so I feel like skipping those steps, that's where you might see that conversion start to drop. And that's where your ROI math is really hidden. Because, you know, there might be that one time upfront cost for the website, but as you go, as it lasts for years and years, and as the leads come in from it, like that ROI only picks up,
Mhm.
unless you have a shit website with just your logo, just a phone number, and a picture of, you know, you. Like those don't work anymore at all. And as I said, I've moved out of the country. There's a lot less competition out here for trades, which means they can get a lot further away with things. But as you and I talked, that's short-term mentality when it comes to marketing, not think of what we need to be
Mhm.
doing 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road if we want to continue growing this business.
Yeah. I am looking for some shop space, and you can get online different websites, and they have price per square foot per year or per month, and they have the minimal lease terms and all that kind of stuff. And I found a space that is fairly industrial, but the space itself I think would work really good. And they are literally the only one that I have come across where it says pricing. They have 2 words, upon request. And it pisses me off so much that I won't even contact them. I'm like, if you're not willing to do at least what everybody else is doing
Yeah.
and tell me what your price is, I'm already agitated.
Yes.
And I have literally refused to call them about that space because I feel like I have to jump through these extra
Yes.
hoops to get
Yes.
information. I just need the information. And what that really does is it better qualifies the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I have price on my website and people have went to my website, well, they have at least an understanding or
Yeah.
a surface level understanding of what the price is. So
Mhm.
at some level, I've already qualified that lead coming
Yeah.
in.
Exactly. And one thing you got to think about, I trust me, those are the 3 words I could just rip out of someone. Pricing available upon request. Guess what, idiot? I'm on the page of your
Mhm.
website. I'm already requesting information because I'm here. So why are you making it extra steps to get through there? Yeah. And that's kind of where, you know, this office space, you know, situation that you're in, like, you know, you're going to have to call them to see the space eventually if you want it. But now that you've kind of stopped and you don't have that information, like that little, I feel like, area of unknowns is usually what makes people move on to the next place.
Mhm.
Because, you know, whether it's they're pissed off like us because we're like, what the fuck? Just add it. Like even if you say
price.
just by socket, like put it at square footage, like then I'll do the math backwards. It's $5 a square foot per day, and you're like, oh, that's great.
I feel like Dumb and Dumber getting that phone number. He's like, just give me the damn number, and his foot's on fire. And that's how I feel, during that whole interaction. So yeah, price available upon request.
Yep. And if you're feeling that way, then that means that people who are looking up what we do feel that way all the time. And as I said, not every situation is perfect where you have that flat, perfect pricing listed for everything. But that's why you have these middle grounds of start set, repairs, replacements, and you could put what you feel comfortable putting. But like the thing I usually kind of can push back on enough is search for your industry in your city. So if you're typing plumber, St. Louis, check out all the websites of the guys who rank on it. I bet most of them have pricing on their website. If they do, then you lost the battle. You need to put pricing because the people who are winning the battle have it available. Now, if you look and nobody has pricing up there, well, maybe this could be your differentiator and you could be the transparent fucking plumber in St. Louis that tells homeowners what's good to expect, and you and Mitchell, you were talking about how like you were going to do videos to kind of show the differences between units and why you shouldn't buy from the Home Depot versus the professional model. People don't listen until you kind of tell them these things. And I think that someone who is right next to these other guys who don't list versus you listing could make the big difference because again, people already qualify themselves. And if they don't qualify, then that's still a pro to you because that means they weren't the right fit client. With financing available today, almost everybody can be a good client. There's, get it now, pay it 20 years later type of programs, so there is those ways to kind of get through it. But that's also where your website says that information and you showcase your financing and hey, it's an easy application process. Even for my roofers saying on there bluntly, we will go through the insurance process with you to file a claim. Like all those things are winning statements for homeowners because again, no one knows how to do shit on their home and they're all scared that they're going to be taken advantage of by the guy whose name's on the truck.
Yep. The other thing people don't want to do is they don't want to search your Instagram feed to find an answer.
Yeah.
And if they have to sit there and scroll looking to see if you solve this problem, they want to be able to go to a platform that's going to, again, answer that question for them. You said differentiator, and I'm glad that you brought this up because this is one of the things that I believe, and this is where I get to learn from you. I believe that people get wrapped up in the metric of being the best. I prefer to attack the market by being different. So from a marketing perspective, how do you approach? I'm curious if you agree with me or not, if I'm just an idiot with a microphone, and how you do approach that differentiator with them from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah. And let's brainstorm some ideas together because there's so many different avenues I feel like you could take this. Like one that I've seen really pop up before I left Louisville. Louisville's about 1 million population, so not small metropolitan, but big enough where you could throw a rock and hit an HVAC company, which I liked because that always helped me to kind of get in front of guys. But with that, what I noticed is, a lot of people are investing huge money into actually really focusing on branding and not maybe changing the name, but like having avatars, cartoon characters, as like their profile, huge logo, like, completely wrapped trucks, where before, at least in my area, we didn't really need to focus on that. But people are realizing, hey, when we're out here, like during COVID, like that was kind of our billboard that runs for us, so I have seen people go 100% into the let's be different in like the fun, bold colors, crazy billboards type of way, which I think is fun. I like seeing people think outside the box and do some fun things. However, that can be kind of more of like a higher tier of marketing because, truck wraps, they are a one-time fee. It's like you always have to continually do it, but that could be kind of expansive for it. What I kind of like, to be honest, is there have been a lot of companies that I have worked with that have been around for a couple of years and management changed. Management coming in was like, all right, how do I not lose what they had, but like tenfold this over because it wasn't continually always growing with what they were doing. And a lot of those companies really embraced more of like the information and processes with marketing. And so what I mean by that is like for their website, they actually gave us all the information we needed to answer any question a homeowner might ever have in their entire life, and organizing it in a great way. As you mentioned on Instagram, I don't want to scroll. Like, I might want to see if you have some things, people like checking out culture on social media. It's one of the best ways to showcase that, but that doesn't maybe mean you did a phenomenal job most of the time. So like, that's where we're going to go back to like have your website to see what types of jobs do they do, because you might not show all of them all the time. They want to make sure you can work on what they have. And then your website's linking back to your Google business profile, which is showing them your actual reviews and, all of the other information about it. So when you're kind of working at that side of, we don't want to lose what we have. What I love with these guys is they had great websites that had the information on it, and they incorporated information throughout the marketing and sales process as much as possible. So really differentiating on the whole transparency and communication. And that's, to me, I think way more long-term gains than just wrapping your truck and going after the really cool designs. Like, that's probably the 2020s cool thing that's happening right now. I know it's been happening, a couple years prior to that. There were a few guys in the city who did it, but like now almost I feel like everybody has an avatar, as like their logo for their brand, which is, it was good. But once it gets saturated in that, what else are you doing to really showcase that you're different? So that's when I love when my guys would actually have like good information on their website. So a homeowner would call basically ready to kind of set up the appointment and kind of get to know a little bit of, what does this look like? But they had information on process. So the client already kind of knew these things if they did the research. If your HVAC is out, it's a 110-degree day, you're going to Google, typing in HVAC near me, you're calling the first few guys, whoever gets there the quickest wins. I mean, there are grades of when it changes on what that customer profile looks like. But if we think we want replacement jobs, we want the bigger jobs, they're going to do more research. We need to stand out to showcase how different we are. And to me, how you show yourself in how you treat others through customer service in your marketing, to me, is a great way to brand yourself, because that's showing, hey, this is our process. Here's what's to expect, Miss Murphy, when they come out there to replace this. Joe's going to be headed out. We'll send a text when Joe is 15 minutes away, so you can make sure that, all the dogs are locked up safe, and, and this is a picture of what Joe looks like. So when he knocks on the door, he'll have our uniform on and our branded truck. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, Miss Murphy, not that I live alone now, I have a husband, but let's just say even if he was at home or out of home, someone was coming, that would give me even more comfort to know, okay, I know it's this guy named Joe. Here's his picture on the website. Like, I know they've gone through all these things. It's safe. Joe does a great job. Joe has a process afterwards as well. That process is what goes into marketing, because, he's getting a review from you. He's maybe getting you to set up a maintenance plan, or he's asking you, do you mind if we just set you up on our email newsletter so you can know when you need to rotate your filters? Because this is actually a quarter rotation unit. You don't need to replace it every month. Things like that makes, Miss Murphy go, oh, wow, this is great. Like, these are all things that I didn't think you'd tell me or you'd help me with, so I think changing the persona of a tradesperson is really, to me, the branding that makes you stand out. Because again, people still think there's all fly-by companies, two guys in a truck type of bullshit companies that will come in, do shitty work, leave, but you got a decent price. Like, you're combating against those guys in the low standards. And then you're also trying to combat the guys who are spending $1 million on marketing each year. But in my opinion, as we've talked before, Josh, I feel like those guys that spend $1 million in marketing is because they don't have the processes to keep people on board. If you did a great job, you would not be, I feel like, having to always grow that advertising budget when you already own the market. What it means is you can't keep the market in your pocket because you're missing out on a lot of other things to go with it. So I know those more of a mix of process into sales with marketing, but like, if you think about it, all those things I described are stuff you have to get me or your marketing agency to be able to elaborate on this for you in a way that customers and homeowners can easily digest and makes them convert.
So what? Yeah, right. Like my head just fucking exploded all over the screen, because, and this is that very last part that you just tied all of that together, was you need to know about the company. You need to know about the culture. You need to have an understanding of the processes, because, and we're going to dive into that a little bit, but your operations have to support your marketing, and your marketing has to support your operations. There has to be alignment in the two. If you go out and spend marketing and Train's #1 HVAC contractor in, West County, St. Louis, and then they call me, and the individual that answers the phone is less than pleasant, or the technician that goes out there is less than pleasant. And I'm being kind with those words. And
Yes.
what you've done is you've told a lie up front. They bought the lie, and the experience doesn't match the marketing. So
Yes.
the fact that you say, and this is, so I'm peeling this all the way back, for you to be able to market accordingly, they need to fully understand their culture, their operations, their processes, how they come to market, right?
Mhm.
I can't create a story for you. I can rearrange the words and the letters to compile sentences that
Mhm.
develops a narrative, but I need to know about your company. And the reason I say that is I think a lot of small business owners and blue collar business owners, they want you to answer that for them. They want
Mhm.
you to create the story. It's like, no, I'm an orchestrator
Yeah.
here. Like there's a creation aspect to it. I'm not downplaying the creation aspect, but I what I really again liked about that was you're ultimately saying you need to be in tune with your business and your market and your processes and your team and your culture and your operations. And when you have those, bring me those pieces, and then I'll build you something beautiful out of it.
Yeah. And what the marketer's job is to do is to learn who your client is and what they need. So therefore we can aggregate the content you give us to speak to them how they want to be spoken to. That's yeah, it beautifully summed it up because that's kind of where, the thing you and I bitch about the most that I will, die on a hill saying
Mhm.
is it all works together.
Right.
It's all one big picture. It's not separate
Mhm.
entities at all. So, I mean, if you think, hey, we have great branded trucks, we got some yard signs out, we got a pretty website, we're good. We'll throw $1,000 into Google Ads each month. That's what everybody else does here around here. We'll stay busy. We'll get ROI. Great. Well, as I just mentioned earlier, if you're not following through with what the marketing does, so therefore you're giving us more things to put back into marketing, then you fucked it all up. Because
Mhm.
if you're not doing a good job and getting those reviews, well, guess what? I can't promote those reviews. Like I can't create the processes to put in place to help you if you also don't buy into the fact that after they've found you, it is not just the marketer's journey that ends. Like we ride with you and we need to ride with your sales team. Like these things have to speak to one another so much. And that's kind of where, with any agency that
Mhm.
sales and marketing have to speak to one another or else it will die because they won't see how one completely integrates with the other.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What are some of the biggest disconnects that you see with operations and marketing, or the business owner and implementation?
Yeah. I mean, one thing I know I've mentioned before, and I probably mentioned it on 163. I mean, the importance of reviews will never, ever, ever go away. I'm sorry. It has been 18 months, guys. Carmen San Diego have been out doing tons of research all around the world. And guess what? The verdict's in. Reviews are here to stay. And so, even something like that, the business owner knows I need these. I want a 5-star every time. But then there are few tech guys they have don't give a shit. Don't worry about it. Like, there's that different mindset between the business owner and the employee mindset. And, you hope you hire people who do care about it, but that's kind of where they're not always going to be on board with it. So it's making upper management try to get these guys to incorporate that. So if that's contest, prizes, competitions, like whatever it may be, like you have to get everybody on board with understanding that, hey, if we don't drive more business our way, you won't have a full week's of worth of work. So we all eat what we bring in. So we need to make sure we're kind of all incorporating this. So, I mean, like that's one thing that I hate because I've worked with hundreds of service peoples on strategy sessions. And I hate every time I hear they're like, oh, we've been open for 5 years. And I go to their Google business page and they have maybe 5 to 15 reviews. I'm like, so you have maybe one a year? Holy shit, guys, what are you doing? Like this is something that a homeowner looks at first and foremost if they're doing a Google search. So you're already kind of missing that. And it's usually it comes down to say, well, we try, but we're not the ones always running the jobs. And you're right. It needs to be the person who's physically there in that homeowner's face to say these things because that's the face that's built the representation of the business. Like they can still call the main office. The main office can call out and say, hey, Nancy, hope you had a great servicing with Roger. Do you mind if I send you an email with a review link? We'd really appreciate any feedback. Like all those little things can kind of integrate together. They don't put that there together. So that's a huge problem because like the reason I harp on reviews, Josh, is because what we talked about last time, it's a huge SEO ranking factor. And that's why it's not going away because Google, Facebook, all these platforms, Yelp, I mean, they all see this as an engagement tool. So the businesses that are doing more engagement should be shown more, just like with social media platforms and the algorithm. I mean, all how it works is, kind of good publicity, bad publicity. It's all kind of the same. At least you're getting that publicity with it. And that's what the algorithm wants to see is you getting that attention there. So one huge thing that as I said, I will go to the grave singing because it is something that I've only seen hurt businesses. And it's only something for the last 10 years I've said from day one, like, hey, you really need to focus on this now because I'm assuming it's not going to go away. So start now before everybody else does. Well, now as a maybe new business or a business that's been around less than 5 years, you're going against these guys that have built that up for a very huge time there. So I hate that disconnect. Another huge one I see is you either as a business owner yourself or your tech guys who is ever out there, they're the ones that are going to see what problems they're running into the most and potentially can take the pictures, the before and afters. They're the ones that's going to get the review, as I mentioned. But what I really love is they also provide a good source of all the FAQs homeowners have. So I've had some of the best meetings where quarterly I would sit down with like their top sales rep or their top tech who maybe has a foot in both installation and sales. Because I feel like everybody wears a million hats nowadays. I love talking to those guys because they really know, like, here's all the questions we get. And I can see where's the content gap we have on your website or in your social media or in your newsletters or whatever you're doing where people aren't understanding that you offer this. And as we said, not everyone's going to read your website like a Bible. But the whole point is you're there with it. Yeah. You can give these things to me because again, I'm not going to be in the house with you every single time to figure out what the fuck they're asking you. You giving these answers to me help create the content, figure out, oh, here's where this journey is looking like more for your exact type of avatar, ideal customer. This is there, like, and if we want high-end homes, well, guess what? Those motherfuckers do a lot of research because they are tight with their money, just like people who don't have as much money. So just thinking, hey, I'm gonna have a nicer luxury website. It's gonna look like Apple. And we're not gonna put shit on it, but we're gonna work only in Class A plus neighborhoods. Good fucking luck. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, they're going to look into way more things about you. And even more so that's where that pure testimonial is going to come in. So kind of two top ones right there. It sounds like you have a few more we should add to this.
No, I love that. In talking about just your target demographic for one, is, there's a very simple concept in business that is if you want to make money, you do work for people that have money. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't understand that. But if you don't know who your target demographic is, then you're not going to be able to market to them and educate them correctly. The people that have money, they do their research and they do find out if you can solve their problem. They already establish a trust factor based on the story that they're getting about you from your website, from your social media. So you do have to have that education process. And then when you don't meet it, then they're like, oh, nope, fuck off. Like, and they'll find someone. And then the problem is now everybody in their neighborhood that they're close to now has a narrative from that client because your marketing was a lie. And that's why I said, you have to be able to deliver. I know something else that you and I have talked about, like off record a lot, is lead generation versus follow-up. And I know that's a huge one. So I also want to talk about that just a little bit, because for the last probably 4 or 5 years, a lot of companies, Brittany, have had this narrative where I have too much work and not enough people. Yeah. And the too much work, the front end of that narrative, is that I have too much work. Well, the reality is the market has been very, very kind for several years in a row now. And it has allowed people and allowed companies to be in business and to survive in business that have no business being in business. But they have this false perception of success because the market has been so great. And this also goes all the way back to the differentiator. Like, how are you different in the market that's going to help sustain you through when the market turns and you don't have everybody beating down your door and every contractor is 3 to 6 months out. But I know I lost my train of thought, so I'm going to come right back over here to lead generation. and follow up. That was something that you and I have talked about a lot. So what is it that you see or have experienced when someone comes to you and says, hey, we want to do the marketing, and then you set them up systematically,
Mhm.
right? And then you feed them leads and you say, okay, here's the problem that you brought to us. Here is the solution we're doing. What happens with that process a lot of the time?
It goes to hell.
Yeah.
Let's be
Quickly.
honest.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of where, as I mentioned, like that aspect, that half of it, that trifold. I mean, because again, these are a couple legs on a chair. That's really where your ROI to me starts to blow up. And the reason for it is you did so much groundwork to make someone find you, make someone believe in you, and make someone convert with you. You did a good job. And then it just ends there. I mean, I'll be honest, I have done so much work at my first home. We're doing a lot of this ourselves here. I don't remember anyone's name of who worked on my house when I remodeled everything. So what would have been nice is if they got my contact info, which they do because they filled out an invoice and put my phone number, my
Mhm.
email, best way to contact me, my address, all this on it. And they just poof, gone. They're ghosting. You lose them there because sorry, this eats me.
Mhm.
I'm so glad you asked this because yeah, this is the part where I feel like as a marketer, I can help you as much as possible, but also I can hand you a shovel to dig your own damn grave quicker because you're not doing the right things. And that's kind of where, as I mentioned, like reviews, like that's a follow up process. You're either that text asking right then and there, hey, do you mind if you let me know how I did for you today? I'm newer here. If you want to mention my name, that'd be really great. It would now what homeowner is going to hate someone for just being nice and saying that? And I get it. If you're a big burly man and you're like 400 pounds, you probably can't say it as a sweet, innocent, 21-year-old's voice, that could be like, this
Mhm.
is my first job, but that's kind of where you say like, hey, I've been doing this for 30 years. Thanks for letting me into your home. I hope this was easy for you. My boss is going to ask me if I asked you for a review. I'd really appreciate if you wouldn't mind. I'm gonna go in the truck, write up the invoice real quick. If you're willing to do it, my boss is willing to give you a $10 gift card. Like you can have all these incentives to do it, but like again, that's a follow-up process. Even if the in-office house staff calls 3 days later, whatever process you have to say, hey, Miss Rose, how is your HVAC unit doing for you? We've had a few days in the 90s. You haven't called us, so we just want to make sure you are satisfied. It's just,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I haven't melted anymore. This has been great. Great. Well, just so you know, we do have maintenance plans should you ever need us. If you're okay, we'll put you on our bi-monthly newsletter that just has tips to things to kind of watch out for with all of our seasonal changes going on here in Missouri. So we try to give out warnings before pipe freezes are warning for our area, just in case you don't watch the news, because who wants to nowadays? We'll send you that email just to tell you when that might be so you can prepare yourself. I would be like, oh my God, yeah, thank you. Because I can't watch the news at all right now. And the next 2 months, I don't want to watch it. So please put me on your email newsletter so I know when I need to change my filters, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Mhm.
think of the permission you're asking them for. Can we stay in contact? And when you get that permission, you've already made them happy. And now you more likely have that customer for life because you're putting them on some type of program to continually reach out to them. The frequency of that is based on a lot of things. I like a little bit of the middle when it comes to frequency, but also this can be something where like you can have different platforms and programs on how often you want to reach out to people. So those on your maintenance plan, get our monthly newsletters. That gets the tip, it gets a resource and it gets a call to action should they need it. And also here's a drawing. So, reply back to this email with your favorite number and you'll be entered into our raffle for a $100 gift card. Like you can do so many dumb small things like that that'll keep people engaged. And then also they remember your name. As I said, no one emailed me afterwards. No one called me. No one texted me. No one gave a shit about Brittany after they
Mhm.
remodeled her home and took away thousands of dollars from her. But if one of them had, they would have been the one where I'd be like, hey, this is broken. Can you come or do you know someone? And that's an even better position I feel like to be in, especially for really like our small, medium businesses where you create that personal connection is okay. Maybe you did my plumbing and now I'm asking you for HVAC, but you all have a referral partnership with an HVAC company
Mhm.
or your best friends there. And like it's all those opportunities I feel like you're really leading on the table because you're just not fucking there. Out of sight, out of mind is a phrase for a reason. And when it comes to marketing, that's the follow-up side of it. Okay, we got them. How do we keep them? And this is where, as I said, it can be custom to every industry, every city, every type of clientele you have. That's why you have to figure out who the fuck you're serving. and what they want to get. Like that ICP, that ideal customer profile, that's what you write down. Who are they? Their age frame, what their hobbies are. Like, you know, all these things. So you know that, hey, our emails need to be quick and to the point because they just want to get these 3 things. Hey, should I watch out for the heat index, the freeze index? You know, how many months is this the month I need to be draining my water heater? Like all those little things you can kind of give them. Like people are so busy nowadays that that's what they want. And, you know, what I hate is maybe just giving them answers to questions they could Google themselves. But like, just think of anything again. Like we got this FAQ 20 times this just past week. We wanted to shoot an email to all of our clients just in case you had this question. I mean, I stay subscribed to so many stupid things I can't even tell you about, Josh, just because they still put some good stuff in there periodically. It makes me stay. And that's kind of where, if you think about it again, no one knows who you are. I don't think about my HVAC guy every day. You know, I used to have a poster of him on the wall and I used to, you know, like pray like Buddha to him. No, nobody does that. Like it's not what we think about. It's not what our worries
Right.
are. So everything you do marketing, you need to do that same effort when it comes to follow up, because that again is where you're going to get your ROI. And that's where you're going to get that person to commit to you and even refer you out more business, because you've built that trust from day one and you're continuing to show that trust moving forward.
Yep. There's a million reasons why you and I work so well together. And you talking about, you don't know the name of anybody that was there. And then after the work was done and they took thousands of dollars, no one gives a shit about Brittany. That is exactly how we make clients feel when we create a transaction.
Yeah.
Instead of an experience. And the fact that marketing is the vehicle in the front to creating the experience is so missed. And it's, I don't know. I love that you said that, because you're right. You're like, no one gives a shit about me. Like they took all my money, they got my work done and I'm going. And it's not that I need special attention. What I'm really saying is, hey, I am thankful for what you did. I was happy to pay you. And it would be awesome if you remembered me in a month and I got an email of, hey, Brittany, this is Josh with ABC Construction. I just wanted to say again how much we appreciate the opportunity for working with you and your husband inside your home. I know our experience together was great. I just wanted to let you know that these are some of the other things that we specialize in and that we do.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if you have some friends or family that would also benefit from our services, please send them our way. We have a referral link here. You'll get a $50 gift card to spend wherever you want. And again, please let us know if there's anything that we can do for you moving forward. Have an awesome day, Josh. It's like, fuck. Like,
God damn, that was good.
That's a 10,
everybody rewind it, write this shit down.
Write it down.
You have your first free email advice from
Right.
Josh and I.
And that was
But
off
think
the
about
cuff,
it.
right? But
Yeah, but you put your foot back in the door by doing that.
Yes.
A month
Yes.
later, and now it didn't seem too abrasive of, hey, we also offer these, because you're basically saying, I enjoyed working with you. Should you need us, here's other things we'd be happy to work on you with. And if you think about it, the thing I joke about with mine is I completely redid my entire kitchen and floor paint. The 2 bathrooms in the home did not really do too much with. I kind of took those on, but they weren't done yet when all these contractors are in my home. And I let them use the restroom because I'm a nice fucking person.
Mm-hmm.
This is the pristine moment for them to see, God damn, this bathroom needs to be updated. Like, put this on, put her in the email newsletter for bathrooms. I mean, given this is me thinking super strategically, because this would be in your text, give a shit to think about this. If, hey, when I took a dump in our client's house, her pipes were leaking and this was an old shower that we could, you know, completely redo, and the tile was broken.
And we had to plunge the toilet. So a power flush toilet.
Yeah.
Does she know that?
Well, that was Steve that did that, but yeah, still, they probably did a power flush toilet. Yeah.
You know, but that's like being able to recognize those things 100%. Yeah.
And that's kind of where I said there is that hard set. If you are the business owner and working in the business, then you're able to kind of see these things and look at it. But you might be the business owner and just realize, holy shit, you know, you're right. When I took that dump, I should have gotten off Instagram and gone into my CRM system and added bath next to their name with that tag. So every time we do a bathroom email, she gets tagged with it to see it. and like, it's all those things that kind of go, and you're trying to just, again, leave a foot in the door, because when it got time to bathroom remodeling, let's just say I wasn't going to do it myself, and I did not ever want to try to do that tiling and everything else myself. Well, then I would know that Joe Schmo was just here, and he's the one that moved my sink drain line and switched my refrigerator over the other side from the kitchen. So I know they do this shit. I could call him. Oh, and I actually feel like they did like me and they did want to work with me, because I have heard from them since. Yeah. And that's 100% what it is if you think about it. Like, the platinum rule is do unto others as they would have done unto them. So I mean, we're a step above the gold rule, because gold's
Yep.
got to be outdone now, but that's what they want.
And the way I phrase that, Brittany, is people don't remember what you did. They remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, also anyone that really paid attention to that 10-second email spiel there, I did not use the word follow up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't use that word. I don't use that word. And it wasn't about necessarily revisiting all of the work that we did. It was thanking them for the opportunity and then asking for a future opportunity, right? And just letting them know that we're here, that we want to work together, and then also asking for the referral. But I didn't say follow up. I didn't do those typical like conversation killing words that immediately put people on a defensive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be inviting, and you have to be thankful, and you have to show that sense of gratitude and appreciation, for that opportunity. So it's just, it is thinking about that. And you're right. Like, how do they want to be treated? So I always give the restaurant example. If you go into a restaurant and the sign says wait to be seated, how long do you stand there and wait to be helped before you either leave or seat yourself? Or God forbid, the third option is you finally get seated and then you're an asshole to the server, right? Like, you have allowed that. Like, now you're choosing a really piss poor attitude about the whole thing because you had to wait. But my point is, how does that make you feel when you walk in, then you get seated and you feel like you're waiting too long for the server to bring a menu? How does that make you feel? You're too long to get the check at the end. How does that make you feel? We never stop to put ourselves in the shoes of our client and go, how does my experience make them feel? How does my process make them feel? Ultimately, how am I shepherding my client through this process where they feel safe, they feel engaged, they feel educated, they feel empowered, and they feel that they are getting the experience above what they expected?
Yeah.
So now we have not only a lifelong client, but we've got 10 others because of it. We never stop to think, because we get so hyper focused on fixing the problem, changing the bathroom, repairing the kitchen, putting in a new HVAC, fixing the toilet. We get so focused on our craft as a professional. So our identity is wrapped up in the craft. And we believe that our technical ability to solve X problem makes that client happy. And it doesn't.
Correct.
It doesn't.
And that's kind of where the way I like to look at it is, in the trades industries, we are service providers. You literally need to take a step back from that and rethink what that means. I provide a service. I'm not just putting a new HVAC unit in. I'm making you feel comfort. I'm making you feel safe, that your children aren't going to melt in the summer heat, or that it'll break on you in the middle of winter and you'll freeze. Like, we're providing you comfort, security, but that's what the product you're putting in or the service you're putting in. But if you think about, that's the mindset the client is getting out of this, is I'm trading this amount of dollars for this sense of blank. I don't give a fuck what my furnace looks like or the name on it, or if it's newer or shinier. Like, I don't give a fuck at all. Did it get installed well? Is my home the right temperature? And is it the temperature I want it to be when I want it to be? And did this get done in a reasonable time frame for however long I had to book out? And all of those things feed back together with it. That's kind of why I say, like, who answers your phone is the make it or break it person a lot of times. And I have had so many conversations with the phone operator at places, because I would set up call tracking. I want to make sure, hey, we're seeing which ad is delivering which lead for you. With doing call tracking, you test the numbers to make sure it connects through. And I've had people answer the phone, what? And all I said back was, the fuck? Excuse me? You do not, please tell me you don't. I know this was an area code that isn't in your area, but as many people have migrated and moved all across the US, you automatically assume it's spam. She's like, well, the last two were. I was like, okay. If I didn't know who you were and I called because my roof was leaking and holy shit, it's moved to this house, moved to this area, call you and you say, what? I would probably say, sorry, I was calling a roofing company. My bad. I'd either hang up before you had the chance to correct it, or most likely I would stay on. You're like, oh no, we are sorry. Yeah, we had some spam calls. How can I help you? You have broken my comfort with you already. Like I might still schedule that quote with you, but I don't know if you're in the lead anymore because of how you make me feel on how this process is going. So if you already answered the phone before you know who the fuck I am with a mean tone, then I don't think you're going to come into my home and be a nice person. I don't really think you might not charge me for things I didn't want to pay for or wasn't aware of. Like the expectation setting and the communication side of this, like that's what feeds in. And that's what basically makes your marketing trustworthy throughout the entire process, because everybody says, hey, we're the most trustworthy, we're the most on time, we're the most, professional. Everybody uses those same fucking words.
Yep.
Everybody. Like when I ask, what's your unique selling proposition? That's usually what I get. We're really good with customer service. We're professional. We're reliable. Everybody says that. If you don't deliver on it in any stage of the process, once someone reads that about you, well, now I don't believe you. You said you were, really into customer service, but you answered the phone like, what do you need? That's not customer service to me, So, I mean, all those little things. I joked with you once before. I called one of our construction companies and they mumbled so bad that I actually listened to a voicemail where the person was like, hi, I got referred to blank construction. I think I dialed the wrong number. So sorry. If even the voicemail was not clear, and then I listened to them actually answer the phone. I was like, oh my God, this is not good. Like we cannot give Kentucky the representation that you all are giving right now. Like take the marbles out of our mouth and let's speak in but that's what we kind of mean when we're talking about, like, even that's a process of what are we saying when we answer the phone to make sure that matches what their expectation was when they called us.
What was the question that you asked? What is your selling proposition? What was that question?
What's your unique selling proposition? Yeah.
Okay.
So like, what's your differentiator?
What are some good responses? Have you had somebody that is maybe knocked it out of the park or has really given you something that you feel like you can elaborate on?
So the few I have, one that I can think of right now is we worked with a metal roofing company. And that metal roofing is expensive, way more than, this isn't something insurance is just going to allow you to change your shingle roof for $1,000 deductible and get a brand new metal roof. So it's a big profit margin for these companies, a big purchase for a homeowner. What I loved about what they did, since they also made their own product, is we plastered everywhere on their website, lifetime guarantee. This is the last roof you'll ever buy. Because what we saw from their ICP, their ideal customer profile, was that, it was a lot of homeowners who, this is most likely their forever home, or like, hey, we're empty nesters. We're going to stay in this because we like it. Or, hey, we just downsized a little bit. We're going to be in this for 20 years. That was where their customer really was in that age bracket and in that lifestyle change. And so they were looking for something that didn't have to ever really worry about again. So that message matched what they were hearing and the customer profile that they were kind of getting out to. So we loved it because yes, they had their own warranty they were doing with it, but it was also just that aspect of, okay, so this is the last stop. Like that mental load that it was kind of taking off the homeowner. If I wouldn't have to do much more, that's great. Not every industry is going to have something amazing such as that. So I've had some guys where they have highlighted their process of getting you in. And so what I mean by that is very transparent on, if you call, you'll have an appointment booked within 24 hours. You will have a quote within 24 hours after that, or 1 hour after, like really honing in on the communication side of it. And I think that's, again, as I mentioned before, one of the best differentiators as well, because you're setting up those expectations in that communication with the client. So they're already on board. They already know, hey, okay, I expect this, then this, then this. Now, if you do not send it within that time frame you have promised, you are really screwing yourself over. But most companies that know they do this have it built in. They have that process streamlined so it can kind of happen with it. That's what I kind of really love, is that more side of differentiators. So they're really kind of honing in on, if we don't do the great job, like here's the warranties and backings of it. Here's kind of what all of this would look like. To me, that's going to do a lot better job. I've had some of them. I mean, they have like over 500 reviews, and everybody in their industry only has 100. So like that's actually what they lean into. Like, hey, we're a 4.9 and we're fine with that. That 0.1, yeah, those are just Karens. Like they make fun of it. You know, like they kind of like really lean into that side of like we will stand by anything. So what Karen said because she's lying. You know, like they kind of make fun with it. It is hard because the things honestly a homeowner cares about is the same things you're mentioning. Come in, do a good job, do it the right way the first time, and don't overcharge me for it. And I think that's kind of where when you can be more transparent about it and follow through with your transparency, like that is your differentiator. That's why mentioning price on your website is a differentiator because again, you're allowing that connection that the homeowner can have to qualify themselves. Because once they've qualified themselves for you, that's kind of where we got to. You might have to talk them out of the sale. Like I love it because I enjoy brainstorming and marketing and talking with a lot of companies about this. My little tangent is I've had people that come in that have such huge projects that it sounds so fun that literally even I know I don't have the bandwidth for it. Like I have to kind of talk them out of it. And once I kind of talk them out of working with me, they want it even more. It's like, well, now that no, like I've already set, like, this is exactly what I want. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is great. Like, then we are a good fit because you've done this much research on me. So, you know, I'm going to tell you to your face that Nancy, who answers the phone, needs to get her shit together. I don't care what divorce she's going through this week, get her off the lines, have anyone else answer. Like, we cannot have that, you know, like they're okay with that type of interaction, that relationship. So that's kind of where I think the biggest differentiator you can have is to build that relationship with your client. So that's the communication you had before and the follow through and follow up communication you're going to continue to give them. Our people are getting on the bandwagon with this. So a lot of companies are already doing this. So this might not feel anything new that we're saying right now, but like you're going to hear something I think that's not fully within the process, most likely that you might have set up. And that's, I feel like, where we're trying to find out what is that gap that you're missing that the people in your area aren't taking advantage of either.
Let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about what you bring to the table. And you've got your company now. Yes. So let's talk about it. And you were asking me, so I want you to introduce your company. And and then we're going to talk about, again, like how you can work with people, what you're focusing on, and where you best serve them.
Awesome. Thank you. So this is the $20 I gave Josh earlier for my airtime.
That's right.
Finally kicks in.
It finally came through. I got the notification.
Listen, the memo alert finally
we can talk about it now.
Only 56 minutes into this, it finally went through. No, Josh, as I said before, I'm really grateful for you having me on here. As I mentioned, you all might have heard me on 163. I was with an agency for 10 years, loved it, great agency. What I wanted to really break out and do is kind of work one-on-one with my guys. So I have my own agency now. It's called the Marketing Mutt. And so basically what I'm trying to do is give you like the best of both breeds without the price. Because I want to work, you know, directly with my guys. So kind of what things I want to help put together is really kind of this big picture of what we're talking about. So more of the marketing processes that need to be put into place and that will continually run to make this a machine for you. So for all of those who don't know what the fuck that means when it comes to marketing, it's pretty simple. Like, I want to make sure you have a website. I can help you with optimizing your website as well. If you're in a good area where SEO is a great tactic for you, I'm happy to look into that for you. I really also can focus on getting like your ads up. So if we want to run LSA ads, PPC ads, I can kind of help there. The more the process side that I want to focus on as well is how can we integrate some things for homeowners? So can I actually put a calendar on your website so they maybe could book appointments themselves? Will you allow me to build an email newsletter stream for you? So that way we can maybe have some nurture emails for those who didn't close with us, some follow through emails with those who did choose to work with us, you know, and kind of putting those things together to help you get more reviews, respond to reviews. Really, to me, it's a lot of, as I said, the kind of foundational issues that most business owners have because you either don't have a person running it for you or you have some things mismatched, but none of them are speaking together fully enough to actually make this like a running process for you. And as you've heard me bitch about for the last hour, there are all of those little fail throughs that happen that I feel like that's where marketing dollars get lost. And that's kind of what I want to help clean up for a lot of companies. I mentioned to you, since I moved to Red River Gorge, there's an HVAC company out here that I just talked to wanting to work with me. They separated from a large corporation. These two guys banded together, made their own company. So they're starting from scratch. They do have a truck with a logo on it, but we need a website. We need a Google business page. We need to get reviews to that Google business page. And, they're really interested in the LSA ads, because it's a lot less management on their side. And I think it's with this area, a really great, advantageous advertisement channel for them right now as well, because, the area I live, social media is here, but it's not where the clients are really kind of looking for their guys. So we, are kind of changing that side of it up. And it's kind of making sure we get these things together so they can, again, get more reviews, add their projects to the website, kind of grow and showcase who they are. So the goal is to look a little bit bigger. I mean, nobody wants to look like a mom and pop nowadays. And I don't blame you. Some people get a little worried about that, but not losing that really personable feel of we left another company to stand for our values at this company. And so I'm kind of helping them create that story and then marketing that story out for them. So it's kind of the beauty of all the things I love marketing, and then just kind of the bluntness of Brittany to back it up of, I'll get you what you want, but you're going to get some feedback if it's not going to perform. Because again, I don't want anyone to spend money on marketing where they're just throwing it at the wall and hoping that it sticks. That's never the plan. That shouldn't be the plan with their processes or your sales. So all these things do need to kind of go hand in hand. And that's where, again, I love working with you, Josh, because like we also work with business owners who understand these, or they're coming around to understand the fact of, holy shit, this is the black hole all of this falls into. And this is what I need to clean up to actually make my business grow and run further.
Mm-hmm. To help establish that, people need to have a conversation about marketing strategy. Yep. Yes. And so you offer a marketing strategy call, yes?
Yes. So I will offer a free strategy session for anybody. So I'm a big believer in paying it forward. So you can ask me anything you want during this. I will do research beforehand as well to kind of see what you got going on. I want to hear about where you want to go with it. And then basically it's pretty simple. We're going to talk about it. If the concepts I'm coming up with resonate, you like it, then I'm your girl. Let's chat. If not, I'll joke. I'll get the fuck away. Like, I'm not here to waste your time or my time. So if we get it, we're on the same page. I want to get these things in action for you ASAP. Because again, like, you're already running your business, and most likely you became a plumbing owner or an HVAC owner because you're really fucking good at those things. But all the other aspects of it, you need that resource and that expert. And that's kind of what I want to be, is like kind of in a sense, like a fractional CMO. Like, I'm coming in, helping you get some of these things together. But I'm not fully on your payroll. Like, use my brain in these last 10 years of the trades doing all this marketing for you guys. And what I love as well is, I mean, I have clients all over the US, and that's really for me what keeps it the most fun, is because we get to see the changes of the clientele in these different areas. And that's what helps, again, help someone over here doing with plumbing as they're doing over here with roofing, because they're going after the same clientele. Like, we can really learn things from one another. But that's kind of where, again, I wish the trades do band together and continue to band together, because we really kind of do need to do a better job and raise up the industry as a whole when it comes to marketing. Because what I want to quit seeing these big name brands that are doing a shit job, customer service, but again, spending those millions of dollars marketing. My focus has been and always will be these small and medium-sized businesses, because those are the guys that they give a shit. They want to do amazing. They want to do right. They have every good intent behind them. They just don't have someone like you or I in that corner that's telling them, yep, this is the next direction we need to move to get you there. And here's how we're going to do it. Here's what we're going to wear to get there. That's, I think, kind of where you and I and our passion really falls into, is because we can kind of, once we get to know you, see these things you're not seeing, and in a nice but impactful way, telling you where we're seeing it go off course and how we need to get this train back on course with it. And so, yes, it is a free strategy session where we can talk over all these things. I'm happy to help create any type of proposal if there's something you'd like to do, but ideally, we're going to kind of make a plan together of how we want to get to point A to point B, and then see if I'm the girl to help you with that.
That's awesome. I think that you and I should probably have more conversations than once every 18 months.
I'll try not to go rogue next time.
No, because and as you're talking and kind of where my brain is going is, I think 3 or 4 times a year, you and I should just get on here and just talk this. And what is it that you're seeing? What market trends are you seeing in the blue collar world? What have you seen that's worked really well for some clients, and what hasn't? And I know some of there's so many variables, but I would like to have more conversations with you on here to continue to help educate our listeners, because when you look at operations as a business as a whole, marketing is one of the pillars, and you have marketing, you have leadership and operations, you have financial operations, and you have to have those. And that's so when I look at a business, I break it up into three sections: sales and marketing, leadership and operations, and financial operations. And you have to look at those three pillars of a business. And I just appreciate what you bring to the table and the conversations that we have. And you also target the same audience that I target, and that's the blue collar world. We speak the same language. I love the name, the Marketing Mutt. By the way, when I saw it, it resonated with me so well. I'm like, oh, like she is one of us. And I know, back in 163, you talk about your origin story of growing up and being around the trades and that kind of stuff. But I am always grateful for our conversations and our friendship. In closing, what do you have for the listeners? What do you got? Anything that you want to wrap up with, or tell them, or just be like, you know what, fuck you, I don't want to do this anymore? No.
Ooh, yeah, I'm tired.
I'm done.
No, it's all good. I mean, really, I think everyone who listened today, obviously, if you don't understand the concept of how these integrate together, then you weren't listening. Go grab a beer and re-listen to this in a relaxed state so you can actually get that out of it. Once you do understand that aspect and you're really on stage with kind of getting what Josh and I were talking about, I would say what I would love everybody to do: sit down, pen and paper, pick 3 areas you think that you are just really missing the ball in. I mean, and they can be niched down. Like, we absolutely have no follow-up after we close business with someone, or, we ask for a review, but we're not getting reviews. Like, figure out what those problems are. And if you've listened to this, you've probably heard some workarounds and some pivots to fix those areas that are kind of, really eating at you. Because as we said, the reason we're mentioning it, and we've mentioned it 18 months ago, is because the things we're talking about are long-term successes in marketing and sales. This isn't, again, that short-sighted vision of, I'm booked out already for 6 weeks, I don't need to do any marketing ever, like, we're fine. Like, the well will dry up eventually, and we're not looking forward to that day, but we need to prep for that day. And should we always be using out of that well? Is there a different well we should be tapping into already because of the advantageous, things that it could be doing for us? So I really think sit down, kind of write what those areas are. You might see how a lot of them correlate to one another, because if you're seeing you're not following up, then I bet you don't have reviews, and I bet you're not getting a lot of good conversion, and you're not ranking because of just that one small factor and how that kind of cycle of life of marketing kind of works together. So I would love to talk to anyone who is still listening to this podcast by the end of it. Please, all my information will be given to Josh. He'll have that in the show notes for you. But I would love to talk about those 3 problems you're seeing, because most likely you already know what the gaps are. You just need someone to patch that hole for you. And that's what we're here to do, is to really fix where those potholes are in your business so you can run as smooth as possible, because there will be more that come up, just like on a real road. But that's kind of where you have an advisor like us to kind of be there, someone on the way to kind of help you gear. Okay, hey, take this exit instead. I'm seeing a lot better conversion, a lot better ROI. Some other guys have done it this way. I think this fits more of your business model. Like, we can actually have those conversations. So that would be my last tidbit. And if you didn't hear already, go get some more fucking reviews, guys. They will never, ever, 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 ever go away. And if they do, come find me, because I'm probably dead and buried in a box somewhere by Google. They found me. But yes, no, I'd love to talk to anybody. Josh knows I'm not a pushy person. I'm not a salesy person. I'm an educator and a marketer. So I'm more than happy to answer every questions you have for you. And if we can help you, great. If not, I hope you got some great answers to continually grow your business the right direction, the right way for yourself.
Awesome. Brittany, so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, go check that out. The information is in the show notes. And until next time, get shit done.